So you want to build an online course. Welcome back to Free Mama TV. If you have been here before, if you are brand new, you're in the right place. My name is Lauren Golden. I'm the founder of the Free Mama and the Free Mama movement. And I'm super excited to talk to you today about taking your ideas from your brain, packaging them up, and turning them into an online course that can transform someone else's life. Back in 2017, I created my very first online program called the Free Mama Movement, which has now had thousands of people go through it. Since then, I have gone on to create about a dozen digital products, courses, mini courses, and just different ways to teach people online how to do things that I know how to do. And you, my friend, have that same power. You have knowledge in your mind, experiences you've been through that can help other people, whether it's about business or relationships or food or fitness. It does not matter. There is someone else out there, most likely, who wants to learn from you. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how you can, even as a beginner, even without all the tech skills, even as someone who's never done this before, take your ideas and turn it into an online program that will sell. And we are going to do this in 11 steps. But before we get started, talk to me. Have you done an online program before? Have you purchased a course? What was your experience? What did you love about it? What did you not like about it? These things are going to help you become the best course creator possible because you will know what worked for you and you'll be able to give that to your students. I'll have a few more tips in today's video about how to make sure that everybody is learning and continuing to move through the course to get the end results as well. But let's go ahead and get started with step number one. Step number one may sound obvious, but it is to decide what your course is actually going to be about. If you are like me or you are a multi-passionate entrepreneur, there might be a lot of different things that you can talk about. Or you might feel like you need to take all of your knowledge on a subject and chuck it into one online program. But for most people, that's going to end up being really overwhelming. It might also be confusing in your messaging when it comes time to sell. So the first thing is to get really clear on what is the online course that you are looking to create. Taking this concept, number two is to do some market research. Now, this is not to make you overwhelmed or to have you get defeated about all of the competitors that are out there. This is to give you some sort of proof of concept. And I'll have another way that you can do that by the end of this video. Is there an audience out there of obvious people, either through Facebook groups or Google searches, that are willing and probably wanting the information that you have? Are there other people out there selling something similar? Again, don't get defeated. This is actually a really good thing. You want there to be competition because it means that there's a market for your knowledge. How are they structuring their offers? What are the price points? How are they packaging their stuff together? Pay attention to all these little nuances because there's a really good chance that if someone is having success with an online program in the same niche or industry that you're wanting to get into, that they've done some of their own market research or testing or trial and error on their own end. And you can jump to the front of the line by observing and modeling what other people are having success with. So now that we have a little bit of proof of concept that there is in fact a market for your idea and you are crystal clear on what your online course is about, and it does not include everything under the sun, including the kitchen sink. Next comes step number three, and this is to outline your course. And I want you to get really specific. We are going to drill down here, okay? So how many modules do there need to be to get the point across? Not everything you've ever learned in your life, but again, how many different steps? Do you have a framework or a process? For some of us, this is actually kind of hard if the thing your online course is about is your zone of genius, because it probably comes really easily to you and you might underestimate how difficult this thing is for other people, or you might do parts of the process sort of subconsciously that you're now going to have to extract from your mind and turn into steps that someone else can follow in order to get the same results. You can use a simple Google Doc or take pen to paper for this. But again, I want you to look at creating an outline. So what are your modules? What are the lessons underneath those modules? And what is the content that must be included within those individual lessons to make sure that someone's going to get the same result that you would get after they consume your material. I've coached dozens of people creating their very own online course for the first time. And one of the hardest things that I see them struggle with, that I remember struggling with myself back in 2017, is knowing what to include versus what not to include. Now, again, you can't teach everybody everything you ever know on a particular subject. It's really just going to overwhelm them. So the lens that I like to look through it is like, what do they absolutely have to know or learn how to do or be able to understand in order to achieve the outcome that my course is going to promise them? And we'll talk about that promise here in a little bit. If it's something that's just helpful or would also be informative, consider tucking it away for a potential bonus, or maybe it could be an upsell to a different program or course in the future. So get all of your ideas down in this brain dump, but really focus on those essential things that someone has to know and put everything else on the shelf for now. One thing that's important to state about online courses is nobody buys an online course going like, I want to watch 500 hours of someone else talking. No, people actually have really horrific attention spans. So by the way, if you're still here, congratulations to you. And they don't want to hear someone talk on and on and on about a particular topic if it's not information that they actually need. Short, sweet, and to the point, but actionable and clear is what is going to get your future students the biggest results. And also you more social proof and testimonials. Step number 4 is on the logistical side, and it's where are you actually going to host your course? So when someone buys it, where are you going to keep it? We've used ClickFunnels. We now host our stuff in Teachable, and we're constantly reevaluating the software that's available. There are so many options out there. Don't get stuck on this. In the last 5.5 years, we've changed softwares, and it's not that difficult. You can host videos on YouTube or Vimeo. And again, there are a lot of available software programs that you can use, but make a decision and stick with it for now. And don't worry about moving every time a new one pops up. Wait until you actually have a problem that you're trying to solve within your business. If you are less tech inclined, I would definitely look for something that's very user-friendly, or even consider outsourcing this step eventually when it comes time to actually building out your course area. And of course, there are going to be things that are more robust that can really grow with you, but they may be less cost effective as you're just getting started. Bottom line, there's no right or wrong. Just pick the right platform for you right now that can get you going and staying in motion and in flow, and not killing a bunch of time waiting and worrying about things being perfect. Lastly, you'll just want to make sure that your users will have a positive user experience. Do they know where to go? Do they know what they're supposed to watch or do first when they reach your members area? These are some of the things that I would be considering when making my decision. Okay, step number 5 is kind of your pre-filming work. So scripts, bullet points, depending on what works best for you. I love using bullet points, but back when I first recorded the first edition of my very first course, I was using scripts in those first few videos. I was absolutely terrified and I was so nervous. The problem is I ended up making so many mistakes trying to get it right the first time. And so I'd start the entire video over, forgetting that I had the ability to actually edit videos. And I was probably going to stay way more in flow if I just made an oops and then kept talking and went back and fixed it with a video editor later on. So don't get hung up on thinking you have to know every single word perfectly. I promise you, people care a lot more about the content than they do what you're wearing, your hair, your makeup. You know, it is nice when you're well lit, but don't get so hung up on having some perfect background. At the end of the day, those things are not going to translate into results for your clients. They are superficial at best. And what people really care about is the information and that you are clearly communicating it to them. The reason I like bullet points instead of scripts is because I don't have the temptation to read word after word, and I'm actually less likely to fumble on my words. But by having bullet points, and again, this can just be an extension of your outline, I know all the key points that I want to talk about. For example, when I record at FreeMamaTV, I always have bullet points. I have written next to me the 11 steps that I'm going to talk about in this video about making your online course, but I'm not going to write out word for word because I know what I'm talking about. out. You are an expert in what you're doing. And as long as you leave yourself some good notes and you have the ability to go back later on or outsource someone to edit your videos, I promise you it gets easier as you go and you won't feel so reliant on having every single thing written out. Speaking of, might be time for a pro tip. I know that when I made my first course, by the time I was done with module 12, I went back and watched module 1 and I was like, oh my gosh, it is so bad. I'm so bad on video. Because over the 3 months that it took me to build out that course, I grew so much. You're going to get better as you go. Do not be so self-critical. You are going to get stuck in a pattern of creating and you're not actually going to be selling and you're not actually going to be helping anybody with your content. They're not coming in and judging you through the same lens that you're seeing yourself on video. So let it go, love yourself, and focus on the work that you're doing to help other people and have an impact on the world. Okay, step number 6. We've been getting ready for this. I get it. It's kind of scary. It is to actually record and edit your videos. So whatever it needs to be, it might be 5 minutes, it might be 5 hours. It doesn't matter as long as you're following the tips that I gave you earlier. It's including all of the steps and information that someone needs to be successful and not more than that. Okay. Depending on your audience and the market research that you've done, you might learn that your audience is insanely busy. I work with moms. Most of my videos are under 12 minutes. However, I have some over the shoulder videos or interviews, things like this that are supplementary support to what they're learning within the course curriculum that might be up to 90 minutes. And I usually try to prepare them for that. So knowing your audience and who you're creating your content for will help you create those breaks so that you're not getting out of control with your filming. And just remember, nobody's perfect. We put bloopers at the end of Free Mama TV for a reason. You can usually hear me screaming at a dog, chasing a dog, a cat meowing, or a kid walking in. And sometimes I get tripped up over my own tongue. It happens. And that's why we have resources like iMovie and other video editors. Nobody cares about you being perfect. Just get them the information, go back later and clean it up. You will do amazing. Okay, step number 7 to creating your online course is to back up your videos with a thumbnail and a description. Now, depending on the software that you chose back in step 4, you might upload your video content directly to the platform like we do in Teachable, or you might need a video hosting site like a Vimeo or YouTube, which is what we use, unlisted videos on YouTube. And again, you're going to want this thumbnail. That's what's going to show before someone clicks. You can create this in a free resource like Canva. They have templates available to you. You can add in your photos, your titles, and your branding colors and be good to go. You don't have to make this any harder than it needs to be. As far as your description, again, this could be long or short. We actually transcribe our videos. So, and we sometimes pull the audio as well. So in my course, and again, this goes back to that learning user experience. In my courses, people can go in, they can watch the video, they can listen to the entire audio, they can read and download the transcript. Plus, there's a little description that's just telling them what they can expect in their lesson that day. None of this is hard, but you can see collectively how this starts to be a little bit time consuming. But before you get overwhelmed, do not worry. It's kind of like the question, how do you eat an elephant? The answer, one bite at a time. So here's my next pro tip for you. Make sure you're tracking all of these things. Go back to your course outline and just put check marks for each of the steps that you have to do. The pre-filming, whether that's your script or your bullet points, the recording of the videos, the editing of the videos, the uploading of the videos, the thumbnail, and your description. And by having those check marks, you're going to see that if you just stay focused and you do either one video at a time or you record in batch, you do the thumbnails in batch, whatever works best for your brain, you are slowly going to make progress. But I promise you, when you're looking at the project overall, it's going to feel like a lot. Don't worry. You're not the last person or the first person to have to do this. And if I can do this, I know that you can do it too. Which brings us to step number 8, which is your support materials. Now, again, depending on your online course, your content, and who you're selling to, what your topic is about, all of these different variables, you might have additional materials that you need to have created. Again, Canva is my favorite resource to do this. It's free, or they have a pro plan that's really inexpensive that will help you with your resizing and your branding across your pages. But do you need worksheets? Do you need workbooks? A lot of my stuff step is teaching people how to make money from home or how to start an online business or build a course. And so I share the very resources I use. And the reality is I don't track my stuff in something beautiful in Canva. I use a lot of Google spreadsheets and a lot of Google Docs. And you can actually share those things with the viewer mode instead of editor mode. And I just put those links right there inside of the course. I have them saved as templates and people can file, save a copy, and then they have access to the actual resources I use in my business. But again, thinking about your future buyers, what do they need to be successful? What do they need to get the same results that you're promising them that you've gotten from your online course? And make sure you include those things along with your videos throughout your program. Step number 9 is tying this all together. You're probably going to have some technical integrations. Now, we haven't even talked about selling your online program. We'll get to that in a minute. But wherever you're doing that, from the moment someone gives you their credit card information on your payment gateway to them accessing your course, whatever the hosting software is you chose for your course, there's going to be some steps in between. Do they need emails to get automatically triggered so that they can log in and create a username and password? Are you going to indoctrinate them or welcome them, like a little welcome email sequence? What are you using for your email provider? And making sure that these different programs talk to each other. This is not a huge undertaking, but if you're not very technical, you might consider having somebody help you set these things up. Usually you just have to set them up once, you test them. We always test, you test them, make sure they're working. And usually you're going to be good to go from there. It's not really something you have to revisit very frequently, if at all. Now, it may seem like we went backwards, but I wanted to make sure you knew all of the steps for building an online course. But now we actually go back to what kind of is step 1, but we will call it step 10. And this is crafting your offer. Now, it's great that you want to build an online course, but nobody is sitting there at their computer scrolling on Facebook or hiding in the closet from their kids on Instagram thinking,
man, I just like really want to buy an online course today.
Nobody's actually thinking that. People are looking for a transformation. They either want to get out of pain or they want to head towards pleasure. They want to solve a problem in their life. They want to achieve a goal that they have. And again, regardless of the topic of your online program, that's exactly what you're going to help people do. But we have to think about this in terms of the transformation that they're going to make. Remember how I told you might have some content that maybe isn't a step-by-step for your course, but might be a bonus. A lot of times when we craft our actual offer of what they get when they buy, we incorporate bonuses to sort of sweeten the pot to get somebody over the fence about buying our stuff. Your transformation is the promised outcome that someone's going to get when they go through your course. This is the thing that you actually sell, which brings me to our final step, step 11, which is pricing your offer. Now, we've got to go all the way back to our market research to figure out what our program is worth. It is worth what it does for someone else, okay? So if I can charge $1,000 to $2,000 for my online course about how to start a virtual business, that's not a problem because I can teach people how to make between $30,000 and $100,000 a year doing the same thing. So when it comes to a value proposition of making that investment, it makes sense for the consumer. So you need to think about that transformation. What is that result that they get? And what is the value of the materials and the cost of them not enrolling in your online course? And you can set your pricing from there. Again, market research is going to play a role, but don't just price your stuff based on what everybody else is selling it for. You have to know what your program is worth before someone else will believe it is worth that as well. Here is my final pro tip in today's video, and that is to sell your program before you go through all of the steps in today's video. What do I mean by that? Well, I would say by about the time you get to step number 5, it's time to actually think about how you're going to sell your course before you go through all the time, money, and energy of building it out, connecting all of the software programs, recording videos, editing videos, building all of this stuff. Why do we do this? Well, while market research is a really good indicator of proof of concept, nothing is an indicator like someone giving you their credit card information. So a lot of people will launch their online program with either a beta program, a founder's rate, kind of an introductory offer, a pilot program. And this is going to be a big discount off what you plan to sell your course for, but you're going to sell it to that group of people with the intention that they're going to get a discount for getting early access, but they also have to then consume your materials to be social proof for you, that it works, that you're going to have testimonials when you actually go take it to the market. I know that this can feel scary, like I'm going to sell something and then I have to deliver it. it, but I promise you, you want to know that you have proof of concept. You will be incentivized to work hard to build your online program because you will have already gotten paid for it. And you will have that social proof for when you go to sell it at a higher rate. Take my word for it. Sell your online program before you build it. If you're unsure about how to sell your online program, your beta, your pilot launch, make sure you check out some of our recent videos right here on Free Mama TV. We've been talking a lot about challenges and webinars, and I think that these resources will be really helpful for you as you continue to develop your virtual business, helping other people with knowledge and experience that only you have. Congratulations on taking the first step, and thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you have any follow-up questions, I would love to be able to support you, so make sure you drop them down in the comments below, and I will get back to you personally. And until next time on Free Mama TV, I hope you have an amazing day.